Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. We've also got an on-beat segment where we're going to talk about the week's news and some trailers. And, of course, we're going to start things off this week with our On the Horizon segment.
On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so, and that begins on Wednesday, November 19th, when The Mighty Nine comes to Amazon Prime. That's 9 is in the German 9, meaning no, not like the number 9. And this is the new Critical Role. So this is the new Critical Role Dungeons & Dragons campaign turned into a cartoon series show. That's what this is. That's coming again Wednesday, November 19th on Amazon Prime. The next day, on Thursday, November 20th, A Man on the Inside returns to Netflix. This is for its second season. This is the show with Ted Danson where he infiltrates a retirement home or like community or whatever on the behest of a private investigator. It's the shows from Mike Schur, who did The Good Place, with Ted Danson as well. But this is season 2, and that's on Thursday, November 20th on Netflix. Also on Thursday, November 20th, Kirby Air Riders comes to Switch 2, so you can finally play that game that uses one button. One button and a control stick, right? That's what it uses? That's coming on Thursday, November 20th to Switch 2. Sakurai fans rejoice. On Friday, November 21st, Rental Family comes to theaters. This is the one with Brendan Fraser where he plays like an actor in Japan that ends up being like a rental family member for people that need to fulfill some emotional reason or pretend that they have a husband or a father or something like that, you know, which is a real phenomenon in Japan. We talked about that when the trailer came out for this, I believe, but that is coming to theaters on Friday, November 21st. Also coming to theaters on Friday, November 21st is Wicked for Good. This is the sequel to Wicked, which kind of won all the money and awards last year. So the sequel is coming out now on Friday, November 21st. And then lastly, also coming out in theaters on Friday, November 21st is Sisu, Road to Revenge. I've seen the first movie. I don't think you have yet. We're saving that for another Baba Yaga Effect episode in the future. And this is the sequel to that. It's Road to Revenge. It's basically World War II era guy in Eastern Europe, but he's John Wick. Like all the Baba Yaga Effect stuff, it's always like old married guy, but he's John Wick, or like
right.
Guy rides a bullet train, but he's John Wick. This is old guy in the 1940s in Eastern Europe, but he's John Wick. And that's coming also on Friday, November 21st to theaters.
That guy is a magical gnome. Guy is Santa Claus, but he's John Wick.
We had that one too. Yeah,
we had that one too, yeah.
But that is it for On the Horizon segment, and now we're moving on to On Beat. On Beat. On Beat is our news segment. We've got 2 stories and 4 trailers to go over. First news story is that there's going to be a Jimmy Olsen show. It's in development from Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda, who were the creators of American Vandal, which is a show that I think we talked about that show on our old podcast.
Yeah, we did. We did cover American
I don't think it was this podcast yet. I think it was the old podcast.
I believe so.
But you and I loved American Vandal, both seasons of it.
So the premise of the show is pretty fun. This is another true crime documentary, air quotes. This is done in like a true crime format. And this is going to be obviously based on the DC universe. It's going to be called DC Crime, and it's going to feature most prominently Jimmy Olsen and other members of the Daily Planet crew, except for Lois Lane and Clark Kent, who are not scheduled to appear on this.
Mm-hmm.
But the other characters, Michaela Hoover, Who's the dude who was like on SNL? He was one of the Daily Planet staffers in Superman.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he's going to be in it.
Perry White?
Perry White's going to be in it. But basically, it's going to cover various crime stories involving DC supervillains. The first season is reported to be revolving around Gorilla Grodd. And it sounds very interesting, and obviously, like, it's got very talented creative team behind it, so.
Yeah, and it's all tied directly into the DC universe with the same actor playing Jimmy Olsen that was in Superman as well.
Yes, it's the same cast from Superman, so Skylar Gisondo is the actor's name, I believe, is going to be Jimmy Olsen, which, I mean, I loved his portrayal in Superman, so, like.
It was so funny because they played him like, all the women were like super attracted to him, and Lois Lane couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, exactly.
They should like answer that question and have it end up being some kind of like Cthulhu-esque Eldritch God kind of thing going on.
Yes, yeah, right.
Like he somehow like walked in the way of a Eldritch God ritual or something and was endowed with this like attraction or something.
Right, yeah. It's a natural, like, attractive quality.
Apparently in the comics, and I've mentioned this before when we talked about Superman, but apparently in the comics, Jimmy Olsen is always getting up into really weird shit.
Oh, yeah.
So.
There's a whole series in the 60s centered around Jimmy Olsen and just him ending up in, like, all kinds of wacky situations.
Yeah. So I'm hoping there's some of that going on in here.
Yeah,
which, based on how they portrayed him in the movie, there seemed to be, like, the attraction thing seemed to be kind of a wink and a nod to that.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that continues through. But yeah, American Vandal, if anybody hasn't seen American Vandal, it is amazing. It is like such a good show.
Sadly, it only got 2 seasons, and Netflix pulled the plug on it after the 2nd season.
I think 2 might have been the right for that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know really, because season 2 did something kind of interesting and like was really good too, just like season 1 was. I just don't know how many times you can go back to that well.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if a season 3 would have worked, but the first 2 seasons were amazing. Yeah, just really, really good show. So if you haven't seen that, watch it. It's kind of like a mockumentary series, but, you know, based on like the true crime type stuff, except it goes into like an interesting place. Like it's one of those kind of like better than the sum of its parts kind of thing. But yeah, definitely check out American Vandal if you haven't, and be excited for DC Crime. Next up, still in the DC train, there's going to be a V for Vendetta series on HBO.
Yeah.
And it's coming from Pete Jackson, who is not Peter Jackson.
Who's that
He
Peter?
just happens to have a similar name, and not really much in the way of credits to his name to really give you an idea of what it's going to be like or anything, but.
There's nothing to glean from that, but if you're familiar with V for Vendetta,
remember the 5th of November.
Most people probably are familiar with the James McTeague film that was written and produced by the Wachowski siblings.
I just don't know why we weren't talking about this last week when we were recording the podcast, which was literally on the 5th of November.
Right, because it wasn't like this news didn't come out on the 5th of November.
Yeah.
It came
way
out
to blow it, Gun.
Came out on the 10th of November.
Way to blow it, Gun.
Way to blow it. You blew it!
Yeah, I'm not gonna remember the 10th of November.
And if anybody knows V for Vendetta, it has a very outlandish storyline, like a very just unrealistic storyline.
It's dystopian.
It just has this very unrealistic storyline where the British government that gets taken over by fascists and becomes like a fascist, oppressive government.
There's no way that could ever happen.
Yeah, there's no way that could ever happen in real life in any, like, current major democracy, right?
Yeah, that's just impossible.
Yeah, just impossible.
Yeah, it's a dystopian science fiction story that's technically DC Comics, although I don't know how on it they're going to be involved on here.
Yeah, it's only technically DC Comics because Alan Moore...
DC bought the company that independently published it before or something?
No, Alan Moore wrote it for like a British anthology series called Warrior, and then DC purchased the publishing rights in the United States to it. I think that happened while Alan Moore was currently writing for DC.
So what you're saying is that Alan Moore is going to place a blood curse on James Gunn now.
Yeah, on James Gunn, yeah. So, like, yeah, it's not like a story that's supposed to be set in the DC universe or anything like that. It's pretty separate from that, but, like, DC did publish that, and they do, like, I believe they own the rights to that at this point now. Although it's
I thought they had just bought the company that had done it. Like, you know, kind of like DC owns like Dark Horse, but Dark Horse I don't think started under DC. They just got bought by DC, I think.
DC doesn't own Dark Horse. Dark Horse
I thought they did.
No, it's still, as far as I'm aware, it's still independent.
Okay. I thought it was just one of those things, kind of like, you know, where you get like a character
DC had like...
That happened with like Shazam is another example. Shazam was like from a different company that was bought by DC.
Yes. Yeah, Shazam was, that was purchased. I forget the name of the comics company that did Shazam. I think what you think is like Vertigo. Vertigo wasn't a company that was bought by DC. Vertigo is like an imprint DC created specifically for creator-owned series. And it's usually like stuff that has like nothing to do with like the DC universe. So Vertigo published Garth Ennis' Preacher, Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Who published Watchmen?
DC.
DC themselves published the original Watchmen?
Yes.
Not through like an imprint or anything?
They didn't have those imprints back then.
Okay.
When they published that, yeah.
In the case of Watchmen, I know it was completely disconnected from anything in the DC universe, although very largely based on characters from the DC universe. And then... And then it got incorporated later, somehow.
Yeah, they incorporated it in the DC canon with the mid-2000s series Doomsday Clock.
Mm-hmm. And is Sandman Vertigo?
Sandman was published under Vertical, but that does have ties to the DC universe as well.
It kind of seems like mostly loose, and then occasionally they just straight up drop characters from one or the other into the other, you know? Like Constantine popping up in, you know.
Watchmen was specifically supposed to be... Alan Moore wanted to actually use the characters that DC purchased from Charleston Comics for Watchmen, but DC, like, told him he couldn't use those characters, and so he created original characters for Watchmen heavily based on those characters he wanted to use.
Yeah. Like the human arachnid in The Boys.
Like the
Spider-Man.
The comedian is supposed to be Peacemaker.
Okay.
And like Night Owl is supposed to be Blue Beetle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Rorschach is supposed to be the Question.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so James Gunn invoking a blood curse from Ron Moore.
Ron Moore, wow.
Yeah.
Ron Moore got involved in this somehow.
Yeah, you know, because James Gunn said something bad about Battlestar Galactica, and all it took.
Yeah, but that's that.
Alright, so that's it for our regular news stories, and now we're moving on to some trailers. First trailer up is for The Lone Samurai. This trailer was distributed through a distribution company, I think, that picks up foreign films and releases them in the US, called like WeGo USA or something like that.
Right.
But they didn't make it. It's just like they're just a US distribution arm or something. Yeah, this looks like it's got some of the guys from The Raid in it. I recognized at least one person from The Raid in this trailer. Not the lead, but like one of the main like villain characters or whatever, or villagers or whatever they are. But this is basically like a samurai washes up on an island, and everybody on the island's out to kill him.
Yeah, so it's like very much basically like him against this island. Thankfully he is armed.
Yeah.
And it's just like this bloody samurai like action fest. Looks cool. Looks really cool.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the second movie when the island starts skipping in time and space.
Right.
No, but yeah, it's like a
the
fun
other
action movie.
Where Samurai makes it back to Japan, but then he like starts getting uneasy and he's like, we have to go back. We have to go back.
I have to go back.
Yeah.
I have to go back to the island. They're like, why? I gotta kill more people from that island.
But yeah, that looks cool.
Next up, we got a trailer for The Testament of Ann Lee, which has got Amanda Seyfried in it, and it is a visually stunning looking movie. Says straight in the trailer it's shot in 70mm, which kind of shows.
And it's based off of the true story of Ann Lee, who was one of the founding leaders of the Shakers. Later renamed the United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing.
Oh, not the Movers?
No, she's one of the Shakers.
Not one of the Movers, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful looking film.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Period film. It looks like, it stars Amanda Seyfried as Ann Lee, presumably. Louis Pullman is in this.
Yep, Sentry.
Yep, Sentry. So, yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah. Next, we got a trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Nintendo had a direct for this, so I'll just say up front before we even get into the trailer that in the direct they also announced 2 new cast members, which is they have the character of Rosalina is going to be played by Brie Larson, and the character of Bowser Jr. is being played by Benny Safdie.
Yeah, which I bet you were shocked by that.
That was kind of surprising. Like, they made a big deal. Jack Black came out. I'm like, oh, they must have like a really big actor playing that or something. And I'm like, Benny Safdie. I'm like, oh, kind of know him more as a director.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Bowser Jr. is the director of Uncut Gems?
Did you ever think you'd see an Uncut Gems reference in a Nintendo Direct?
No, I didn't think so.
Because they did make a direct Uncut Gems reference, like Jack Black did.
Yeah, I saw that because like they had Jack Black come out and announce Bowser Jr. They did a fun thing. It's like, who better to announce Bowser Jr. than Bowser Jr.'s dad? And Jack Black, like, was just had this whole wonderful exchange. He's like, you gotta let me kick it back to Miyamoto. Brie Larson is a really inspired choice for Rosalina, especially knowing how big of a genuine Nintendo fangirl she is.
She doesn't match for me, like, voice-wise. I always kind of imagine somebody with more of, like, an ethereal kind of voice, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, Brie Larson, I'm not knocking her or anything. I don't think she's gonna do bad. But she was, like, I could see her having played, like, Princess Peach or Daisy or any, like, other character where, like, Rosalina always seemed more of, like, an ethereal type character. So, it doesn't quite match what's in my head canon, but neither does Chris Pratt as Mario.
It was reported 5 years ago that Brie Larson kicked her boyfriend out because her boyfriend said she was taking Super Mario Galaxy too seriously.
Yeah, she's a bit of a Nintendo super fan. She's been a Nintendo brand ambassador for like the last year. I don't know if this happened before that. I don't know if this casting happened before.
Well, before that, she was the brand ambassador when they released Animal Crossing New Horizons. I remember like them doing Animal Crossing promos.
Well, she did commercials for it, but I think she became an official brand ambassador like last year.
Oh, interesting.
Like in the same way that like Charles Martinet is, you know?
Right. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so she promoted Nintendo before that, obviously.
So it's really cool because she obviously has passion for the material. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was happy to see that.
Yeah. I'm happy that they have fans in the, universe of people playing it. Like, a lot of the actors, even in the first film, had talked about their experiences playing the game. Chris Pratt talked about going to the arcade to play the original Mario. Super Mario Bros. Before the NES even came out. Jack Black has talked about Mario games and stuff. He told a story about his kids being super excited about it being based on Galaxy because that's like their favorite Mario game.
Yeah, like Galaxy is the Mario game. Which was really cool. It was a fun direct. It was a short direct, so like only 8 minutes. I mean, but they clearly, like, there were roles they didn't announce in this. We still don't know who's doing the voice of Yoshi. That's a very critical voicing role.
I know who's doing the voice of Yoshi. It's the ghost of Orson Welles.
Yeah, Ghost of Orson. Yeah, it's Daniel Day-Lewis coming out of retirement to do Yoshi. Coming out of retirement again.
Yeah. I still think Rosalina should have been Idris Elba.
Yeah.
They made a big mistake there, but well.
Yeah, they showed a new trailer for the Mario Galaxy movie where, we got...
With surprisingly little Galaxy stuff in it. Like, about half of the trailer is not Galaxy
We saw,
related.
like, the warp stars from Galaxy.
Yeah.
We saw those. We saw
like after the title card, we got the little Rosalina
We saw like
scene.
a couple planets. We saw like a water planet that had like all the familiar Mario water enemies in it.
We got a level from Odyssey.
Yeah, we got a level from Odyssey. Like this is going
that red sand desert area with the upside down pyramid. That's a straight up out of Odyssey.
Yeah, definitely. And then we got the Bowser Jr. from Wonder.
Yeah.
So again, like this is like it's called Galaxy, but it's pulling from multiple different Mario games.
Yeah.
Just like the first one.
I liked the opening scene where it's like the Pet Bowser, the mini Pet Bowser, painting a picture of Mario, and then
I like how Bowser likes Luigi, but he hates Mario.
he saw, hey Luigi, sup Mario.
Yeah.
And it's like mutual, like Luigi's all happy-go-lucky about Bowser
it's
too.
Like, hey, check out my painting.
Standing at side profile, looking like annoyed.
Yeah. It's like, hey, check out my new painting. And Luigi's like, wow, I love the colors. And Mario's like, it's terrible.
Right, I think he just said it was straight up trash.
Yeah, it's straight up trash. It was funny. I like to see with the Ninja. The Ninja have been making a comeback recently from Super Mario Bros. 2. So cool to see
They
them.
got quite a few scenes in Wonder.
Yeah, they got quite a few scenes in Wonder. Now they're in this. They're moving up. They used to be like one of the forgotten Super Mario Bros. 2 villain enemies, and
To the east side.
now
There's
they're
no more wing inside.
right.
Yeah. Looks good. Doesn't blow me away, but I mean, that's like the same thing with the original Mario movie. Like, it didn't blow me away, but it was fun.
I mean, to me, it looks to be equal to the first movie, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. I had a lot of fun with the first movie. I know people like who aren't crazy about it, but it's what I want out of a Mario movie, is just to be like goofy and fun and like have like a bunch of references that tickle my old Mario fanboy brain. I don't really need, like, a masterpiece. I grew up with the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and back then that was, like, good enough for me. I was like, okay, this is entertaining enough.
And the Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie, yeah.
and these movies are more entertaining than that, so, like, they get a pass.
Yeah. I'm just saying, nothing here, like, blew away my expectations and made me go, oh, wow, that's so cool, or something.
Right.
But it all is just like, yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, it'll be a fun movie, is my takeaway.
Yeah. And then lastly, we got a trailer for Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is kind of the most batshit crazy, weird-ass, fun-looking movie trailer we got this week.
Yeah, I'm trying to parse, like, what happened in this movie trailer. First off, it looks like total gonzo bonkers, like a fun ride.
It looks like a more comedic take on, like, 12 Monkeys.
Right.
You know, like the movie with, like, Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis. It kind of, that time travel one. It kind of has, like, a semblance of that going on, but, like, a little bit more comical and weird. Almost a bit of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of vibe to it, I'd say. Like, just the kind of the way it presents the weirdness of it. Because it shows it as like, oh, it's gonna be AI, but then there's like other non-AI things also going on that are also very weird.
It seems like, from what I can parse from the trailer, as far as plot-wise goes, it seems like it starts with like AI, like, going rogue, and then like its other things spiral out from there. How that happens is not really explained in this like short trailer. Not that the trailer should explain everything, but it seems to be like the whole AI thing seems to be the crux of it, and then weird crazy stuff happens from there.
Yeah, like there's more going on than
like
just the AI stuff, yeah.
It looks like the AI turns people like essentially into zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, yeah.
So what you're saying is it's a documentary of the past, like, 3 years.
It definitely is. It's a it is a documentary of the future, because this is exactly, like, what is going to happen in the future. Literally.
Yeah. When we have, like, AI actresses represented by talent agencies.
You know, it's being directed by Gore Verbinski, you know, who did
Pirates of the
Caribbean. Yeah. This is kind of like an interesting movie for him, because his movies typically, like, are more mainstream. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean's fun, but this just looks like bonkers. But it's got a great cast, though. It's got, like, Sam Rockwell, Haley Lou Richardson.
Sam Rockwell, who I just saw in Argyle.
Yep, just Argyle. Yeah, exactly. Juno Temple is in this.
Mm-hmm.
Haley Lou Richardson, Michael
Sam
Pena.
Rockwell also, by the way, was in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I referenced this having a similar vibe to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was. He was Zephod Beeblebrox in the Hitchhiker's movie.
Yeah.
It's sad we only got one film for that.
Yeah, it was good though. Zoe Deschanel was in that too.
Oh yeah, that was a great film.
And The Hobbit. Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins goes to Wakanda. What's his name? Bilbo Baggins from Minnesota goes to Wakanda.
Right. It's like, why am I blanking on his name? The dude was like everywhere in the early
Martin Freeman.
2000s. Yeah, Martin Freeman, yeah. He was in everything from like the early to mid 2000s. It seemed like.
He's in the best romantic comedy too, Love Actually.
Yeah, Love Actually, yeah. But yeah, I saw this, I was like, this movie looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
like, I can't wait.
This was a very pleasant surprise. I'd never heard of this movie.
No.
And it just kind of popped up out of nowhere, has all the right names attached, has just the right vibes and the weirdness, and I'm like, oh, okay, when is this coming out? I want to see this. I want to see this now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, apparently it's going to be in theaters February 13th, 2026.
Hopefully it gets a wide release.
I think that is supposed to be the wide release.
Yeah. But that's it for our trailers. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are talking about Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows' directorial debut, Frankenstein.
Wow. Weird that he's doing Frankenstein and not Dracula, but, considering his obsession with vampires, but sure.
Yeah. No, this is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, the director of Hellboy and Pacific Rim and The Shape of Water, and Pan's Labyrinth.
All kinds of, just amazing films.
Yeah. He was originally supposed to be the director for The Hobbit when it was just going to be a movie before it turned into a trilogy, and Peter Jackson made a real bloated mess that most people don't like.
He was, attached to, a lot of things that, have never happened. Unfortunately, Guillermo del Toro, he gets shafted a lot by Hollywood, unfortunately. So, there are a lot of things that he's been attached to over the years that just never happened. Like his Lovecraft adaptation in The Mountains of Madness, which he was working on for a long time, which just never happened.
Yeah, that was his big passion project. I think Frankenstein was his other, big passion project.
Yeah, it was his other.
Those two were, his big passion project.
Yeah, his big passion projects, yeah.
He got to do Frankenstein, though. This is a Netflix movie.
He got Netflix
but it got a theatrical release. A short theatrical release, but it got a theatrical release, which isn't common for Netflix. In fact, there's currently a dispute going on that's holding up a Zach Cregger movie that Netflix had ironed out details for.
Zach Cregger
fell apart.
Yeah, apparently,
specifically because of lack of
the only reason this did get a theatrical release is because Guillermo del Toro demanded it.
Yeah, and Netflix doesn't like to do that. They do it every so often with certain things, but they don't really like to do it. I don't even think they did it for Roma, which was the Alfonso Cuarón movie that they did.
Yeah.
It was a big Oscar contender and stuff, and I think they only released it in a single theater so that they could get award nominations.
Yeah, so they could, because they wanted the Oscar nomination for that, and the Academy told them, well, it has to be in a theater to even be in the consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's all they did for Roma. They didn't do any kind of a real release for that. Frankenstein didn't get a wide release. It didn't release out by me, for example.
Right. Which is a shame.
But it did get a release. And it got, I think, even some IMAX release and stuff. It got released in some places, And then it came to Netflix a month later, and now we're talking about it. So yeah, Frankenstein. Should we explain the story that everybody knows a million times?
No, I think people got the gist of what Frankenstein is. I think really, the difference here is the adaptation. Del Toro skews closer to the novel than the majority of adaptations over the years.
Yeah. Well, I think the most accurate adaptation so far is probably Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't have anybody named Frankenstein in it.
Yeah, that's the one mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, this sticks very close to the novel, and also the performances in this are really powerful. I think Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi, who, I literally have not really seen this guy in anything, although his star has been rising since,
yeah, he's a recent actor who's really blown up. He was in Saltburn, which kind of took by storm, around awards season a couple years ago. He was also, I believe, in Euphoria with Zendaya.
Yes, yeah, he was in Euphoria. That's where he came up. But they give, just career-defining performances.
Mm-hmm.
It's wow. You're blown away. And also, another thing that stands out about this is you can tell this is a Del Toro movie because Del Toro really revels in the beauty of monsters. He likes to present monsters as creatures of beauty. They're beautiful to him, and he really wants to spotlight that, and that really shines through in this film.
Yeah. I'd say if I have to have one complaint, I think that there's a lot of the kind of smaller kind of B plots that kind of pick up just kind of get dropped.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of don't really go much, or they don't really develop as well as they should have, and you get really great performances because Del Toro cast some heavy hitters to play some of these kind of smaller parts. Christoph Waltz is an example.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz is
Yaga.
Christoph Waltz playing Victor Frankenstein's dying benefactor, the guy who provides him with the funding to do this crazy experiment.
And he's interesting, but then he's dead, and then that's
he's interesting, but yeah, but the whole thing is the reveal, when he reveals he's dying, it's revealed that, the only reason he's funding this research is because he was hoping it could save his life.
Yeah, I just mean that, once that happens, and then, there's a quick incident where there's an accident, he dies, and then it's just, it's just forgotten. there's no longer any reason to reference him in the movie.
Right.
It's like he's just kind of like, I think that's like the one issue I have with the movie. And this is a movie that's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long or something.
2 hours 30. Yeah, actually, no, it's 2 hours and 20, actually, because the last 10 minutes are like credits.
Yeah. But it's like he couldn't have really fluffed it out more than he did. Like it would have like really hurt the pacing at that point. Right. But it's like that's, I think, the sacrifice that ends up happening is that you have some heavy hitters in these performances that get you interested in what's going on with that, and then they kind of abruptly end. His brother, another character, his death is like so fast and just kind of like whatever that it's just, okay, it's gone. Like, let's move on.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah. Same thing with like Mia Goth, you know, like her character is really interesting, it's starting to develop it, and then just gone. Like, you know, very quickly. Charles Dance is only kind of in a flashback. He's amazing, as he always is.
Again, like, I don't know if it's perspective, but I already clocked these characters as being pretty minor characters in the overall story. I think Mia Goth, her function in the story is basically to show the creature humanity as a counterpoint to what Victor was showing him the whole time.
I just think they kind of sloppily moved them aside. Like, like an example of the opposite would be like...
She's always meant to die. She was clearly from the start like a tragic character.
No, I'm not... I don't object to the character dying and the things happening like that. I have... the thing that I find bad about it in that aspect, and this isn't a reflection of the whole movie, but just one part that I have an issue with, is just the way their departures are handled, as if like the second they're gone, it's like, well, they don't matter anymore. Like, we don't even have to mention them again.
Unfortunately for those two characters, Mia Goth and his brother William, like those two characters, unfortunately, they're off at the point of the story where like, oh, we only have like 20 minutes to wrap this up. So it's
that's exactly what I mean. Like, it's there's a hard point of adapting those characters well, which he does, and then not being able to really stick with those characters because you got to move the pace around. You know, you got to move the pace along.
It did feel like, despite the long runtime of the film, that it was moving at a pretty brisk pace.
Yeah, like it just felt like certain things got dropped pretty quickly. But it feels like if you were to give them their due, this movie would be like 4.5 hours long.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Another example is the blind man. That's like all we have for the character's name, played by David Bradley, Walder Frey from Game of Thrones.
They actually they spend a pretty significant amount of time on that story.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All these characters they did a really good job with Charles Dance playing Victor's father, Leopold. Yeah. And then he's gone and it's just like moved on.
Well, I mean, he was part of like, you know, his childhood story. How much more in the plot was he going to do, like, really?
They have to leave I think they have to leave a trace. I'm not saying...
They do leave a trace.
I don't know.
Like, Victor's, like, thoughts and actions.
Well, they shape his course and then he's gone. That's what I'm trying to say is, like, there's a difference between a character dying because it's necessary in the plot and a character's entire presence being gone.
Well, his purpose was to illustrate why Victor is the way he is.
I don't think you're understanding me. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, take, for example, The Magicians. We talked about that show when it was on. Yeah. In the last season, the main character of the show died the season before, at the end of the season before.
I remember that.
He wasn't in the last season at all, but his presence was still there. Like, that you could still feel him there. Like, even though the character was dead, the actor didn't show up for any additional shots, like he's not there at all for anything, but you could still feel the presence of the character. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, once these characters that are like memorable and strong characters that have great scenes when they're in them, once they're gone, it's as if they were never there. It's like, moved on, gone, whatever, completely erased. That's like my one issue with this movie. It's a hard spot because you could do two choices basically that would rectify this. One is you basically make those characters completely irrelevant from the get-go and just cut them out, which is basically what the old adaptations kind of did. They just kind of like wiped those characters out almost entirely. And it was like, well, they don't really matter. Don't pay attention. Don't look over there, whatever. They're not really there. And then that became like a lesser adaptation for that. And the other option is that you really play out the meaning of these characters even past past the point when they're gone, but that's going to ruin the pace. Like I said, the movie's already 2.5 hours long. It would be like 4 hours long if you really gave these characters a chance to breathe even past their passing. So it's like a catch-22 that Guillermo del Toro finds himself in there because he wants to adapt and really show the humanity of these characters and stuff, but he can't stick with them and have them stick like spiritually within the project after they're gone because he just doesn't have the time.
So
like,
you're
think of time as a budget. He doesn't have the time to do it.
So basically you're saying adapting novels is hard.
Yeah, I'm saying that, and it's tricky. Like, I think the two cleanest ways to do it is to either go long, which, you know, would have caused all sorts of pacing issues as well, or to just cut the characters entirely, or down to such insignificance that as an audience you don't even think about them, which is what, like, the original adaptations did.
The beauty of a novel is, like, there is no time budget with a novel. It's an unlimited time budget.
Yeah.
So, like,
I'm just pointing out, like, that's, I think, the biggest issue that Del Toro encountered in this movie. Like, I don't think there's anything else that I have, like, any objection to.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's pretty much just that. Like, it's just the fact that a character seems to have a huge impact and then they're just gone. And I don't just mean like, oh, we don't see the character again. I mean, they're gone in the sense that, like, they're gone from all motivations moving forward. They're gone from, like, they're just not, you don't feel their presence anymore. They're just gone. And I think that that's because there is a time budget.
Maybe like I was just took it better because like I was more appreciative of them just hitting the next major beat sooner rather than lingering, and kind of like a relief that I'm not going to be sitting there for 4 hours.
To me, it felt like there was probably a lot that hit the cutting room floor that had to be done for pacing.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. Like, I don't think people went in and cut up Guillermo del Toro's movie and he's not happy and we'll get a director's cut sometime later.
No.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, I think Guillermo del Toro himself made cuts that were necessary for the pacing, but in doing so, makes certain storylines feel a little incomplete to me.
That's fair. I don't really have, like, many complaints about this film. I appreciated the brisk pacing. It kept things interesting. Again, the performances and just the beauty of this film, too. Like, the film looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's shot. I would expect it less. And the performances are outstanding. It's just
like the set pieces, I think, more than anything, as far as like how
to me, like I was just like this is just a beautiful film.
Yeah, the set pieces are stunning. You know, the ship trapped in the ice with the giant ice crystals jutting out in different directions, or like the castle that Frankenstein used to bring his creature to life, and the giant like screaming face like fireplace thing, and you know what I mean. There's so much to like the set pieces in this movie that really kind of draw attention and have a lot of beauty to them. And then you have Frankenstein's, you know, monster's design itself, the creature, as he's called in this movie. His design itself is very elegant in this, like, pale patchwork kind of thing where it's kind of grotesque but beautiful at the same time in a very kind of Tim Burton-esque way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like I said, just my one complaint is I wish I kind of felt the presence of some of these larger characters past their eventual ends more than I did. I think there's like a kind of a weird pacing pickup at a certain point, and I think that's where a lot of that stuff was probably cut. I'm imagining stuff was filmed that was cut, and that's kind of around when like the chase between Victor and his creature kind of really kicks off.
Yeah.
You like seeing Mads' brother Lars Mikkelsen as the captain of the boat?
As the captain, yeah. I like that.
I really like David Bradley's character, like I mentioned, as the blind man. I thought he was interesting and was good for the shaping of the creature's humanity. But yeah, anything else to say? What do you got to say about Frankenstein?
No, he was wonderful. I love the design of the creature. Again, the performance by Jacob Elordi was amazing. Again, like I said, Guillermo del Toro really captured, like, the humanity of this character. He's not just, like, a rage monster. Like, he is a person. That's the power. He spot, like, the beauty of this creature. This horribly, like, ugly-looking creature. But Guillermo del Toro made you see the beauty in him. And again, like, that's his gift. That's his gift as a filmmaker. He does this in, like, his other movies, too, like The Shape of Water. So it's classic Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. I like that the movie ends with, like, forgiveness.
Yes, I love that.
Doesn't end with a bunch of villagers burning him, you know, it doesn't.
Yeah, right, yeah, it doesn't end with, like, torches and pitchforks, yeah.
It ends with the idea of, like, understanding and forgiveness, which I think is, like, I think it's a pleasant turn, from what I think we would normally get in a movie like this, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that is Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro. He wrote and directed it, based on the book by Mary Shelley, of course. One of the most famous books of all time, and one of del Toro's biggest passion projects. So he wrote a letter to audiences that saw his movie or something, saying like how he appreciates that the fans have been able to enjoy his movie in the way that he enjoyed the property 50 years ago when he first became enamored with it.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I love it when directors can kind of do their passion project, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. But that is it for Frankenstein. Next week, we are going to be talking about Murderbot, which is a series that came out earlier this year on Apple TV+. It stars Alexander Skarsgård as a murderbot who's obsessed with, like, soap operas and stuff. This is something that we reacted positively to the trailers for before, but I don't have Apple TV Plus, or I didn't at that time. I think you had already run through your trial that you had on it. I think you had a subscription at one point and you had already run its course and didn't have it at the time. But we both have Apple TV Plus now for one very specific reason, and that is Pluribus, the new show from Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and a former writer on The X-Files. So I'm at the position now where, since I'm subscribed to watch Pluribus, I want to get my fill. I want to watch everything that's on Apple TV Plus, all the stuff that's been getting all the rave reviews and stuff, and watch all of that. So that's pretty much going to be everything I'm watching for the foreseeable future. Is going to be either stuff I was already watching anyways, like South Park or some animes that I'm watching and stuff. Anything new I'm picking up in the next couple of months is just straight up going to be stuff from Apple TV Plus, so that I can get my fill before I have to cancel my subscription once Pluribus ends. And one of the shows I was most excited to see on Apple TV Plus is Murderbot, and so that's what we're going to be discussing next week. It's 10 episodes long. The episodes are short. They're like 20 minutes to 30 minutes in length, varying around that range. So check that out if you have Apple TV Plus. If you don't, you should have Apple TV Plus, because Pluribus is on Apple TV Plus right now, and it is the show to talk about, and we will eventually talk about that show when it concludes. But right now, next week, it's time for Murderbot. So watch that and tune in as we talk about that next week. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. Will is at VoxelHero on those platforms. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to the bottom paragraph. You'll find links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, our YouTube channel, which has the entire backlog of this podcast, as well as additional content. You can also subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast player of choice, like Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts. So thank you everybody for listening. Again, good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.